Hey friend, in today's watercolor tutorial, I'm going to be teaching how to paint this loose, watery landscape of Big Bend National Park from Texas. Without further ado, let's get painting. I will be using Antwerp Blue, Purple, Perylene Green, Hooker's Green, Venetian Red, Yellow Ochre, and VanDyke Brown. In addition to that, I have my size 16, size 6, size 2 round Princeton brush, and the paper that I've taped down here is a size 5 by 7 inches. To get started, I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow ochre to lightly sketch our outline where the sky is going to meet the mountains. And here I'm just going to start about 1.5 inches from the left and just slightly slope downward, just like so. And then from here, I'm going to do more of an angled slope, more of a steep slope. Then from there, I'm just going to do a horizontal dash line and then a slight curve, and then just bring it all the way down about 1 inch. Then from here, I'm just going to leave a slight little gap and do a slight, almost like a reverse candy cane curve. If you've been here a while, you know I have quirky analogies for different kind of angles and sketches for paintings. Then I'm going to do another reverse candy cane curve on top of that one. And then I'm going to do kind of just a subtle rainbow curve, just kind of a flat rainbow curve. And then from here, I'm going to slope slightly downward, just like a reverse curve right there. And then a little C curve. And then just a little bit of variegation and texture, sloping all the way to the right top corner. I'm going to continue on with my sketch here to outline the silhouette of kind of a farther away mountain that's off in the distance here. So I'm going to start with a vertical line, angle it slightly downward, and then from here do a curved line downward again, and then just allow it to kind of slope slightly down, and then do a small vertical line, and then just connect it just to this previous vertical line here. Almost looks like stairs. From here, I would like to just loosely outline kind of a more deeper color part of the rock formation here. It starts just about 1.5 inches from the top of the paper and slopes gently downward. Okay, and then from here, I just want to re-outline this and just bring it a little bit lower. And it's okay because this sketch color is quite light, so we can overlap over anything we need to tweak or adjust. And then from here, I am going to do kind of a mirroring, sloping sketch here, kind of similar to this, just opposite and mirroring it. And I will just bring that upward. Then from here, I want to loosely sketch where our water placement is going to be. And I am just going to do kind of a subtle curved line here that kind of goes inward. This is kind of our vantage point here. And then from there, I am just going to do another one similar to it, just sloping towards the right and ending about 1 inch above the paper. I am going to take my size 16 brush and I want to do just a really light wash of our Antwerp Blue for the sky. And I'm just simply going to fill in this area with a nice, just neutral tone wash of this color. Okay, and while that dries, I want to start working on our water here. And I'm just going to start with a wash of water. And I'm going to not just be doing plain blue for our water. I really want some different variegated colors here. And switching gears to our size 6 brush after we get our wash down, I am going to start with some Perylene Green, and I just want to do a touch of it on some of these edges here to reflect some of the greenery we're going to be painting above this area. So I'm starting with some of our darker rich green. I love this Perylene Green color. It's one of my favorite colors. So I'm just incorporating some into this wet wash here. And I would just allow some of the colors to kind of organically bleed because this is our water here. So the more kind of loose and organic and watery it is, the better. Now I'm just going to do a few dabs of our brighter Hooker's Green just above some of our Perylene Green. And again, I'm just taking my brush to get these kind of organic loose movements. And then from here, I'm going to take just a touch of our Antwerp Blue and add some just in between to kind of mimic that crevice, and then just widening it a touch as it gets to the tape at the very bottom. Next, I'm going to take a touch of our Venetian red, and I just want to do a few touches of Venetian red. And I'm going to do a few bright pops of Yellow Ochre. And again, I'm just kind of applying it very loosely. Allowing it to be really watery. I'm going to add just a few more touches of Venetian red. And then I'm just going to blot it out a little bit with some water. Okay, and now that our sky is just about dry, we can kind of start to build our loose landscape with our rock formations just above there. I'm going to start by using my size 16 brush just to get a really nice wash in this area here. And I'm going to do the same thing over in this left area, just about to where we have these two lines here. Okay, now switching gears to our size 6 brush, I'm going to start out by laying out a wash of some Yellow Ochre. Then from here, I want to start to lay out some Venetian red, and I'm going to start by adding some just on this left side here, doing kind of a mark, kind of similar to that kind of staircase formation or sketch that we had previously. I'm just going to kind of mimic that loosely with a little bit of this Venetian red. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a touch of Venetian red towards the left. And then over towards the right, I'm going to add a touch of Venetian red towards the bottom here of this rock formation that we sketched out. And using a little bit of water, I'm just going to help smooth out some of that blend, just a touch. Then from here, I am going to take just a little bit of VanDyke Brown, and I want to start to loosely just sketch some texture in our rock. So I'm going to start doing just some very loose sketch lines using the tip of my size 6 brush and really light pressure with my hand to do some vertical loose brush strokes just to start to build our texture in our rock here. I'm going to do some just up towards the top on this right side and loosely just incorporating these really loose crevices in the rock face. All right, over towards the left here, I want to start to add a little bit more of a concentration of VanDyke Brown up towards this kind of upper rock area here, just like a second layer of the rock mountain here, and just adding a little bit more depth and color with our VanDyke Brown. And I'm just gonna layer a bit more color just to add a little bit more of a deeper value. All right, and from here, as our paper's absorbing some of this paint a little bit more, I wanna add some more pops of our Venetian red. So I'm just switching gears to my size 2 brush now, and I'm just using that similar kind of loose vertical texture, but utilizing the belly of the brush of my size 2 brush to get a little bit more broad strokes here and there, just to add some more variegation in the wall here. So I'm pressing down using some dry brush texture just to make our mountain kind of pop a little bit more. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing on this other side. Really utilizing that dry brush texture. Okay, now from here, I want to add a few pops of a highlight of yellow ochre. I don't want that to get too lost, so I'm just going to do a few streaks and pops of yellow ochre. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let this area kind of set before we add some finishing details once it's dry. And now I wanna focus on this gap here. I'm gonna switch gears to my size 6 brush. And with that, I wanna start by adding some of our greenery. And I'm gonna start with our Hooker's Green, which is kind of our lighter color. And I'm just gonna do a very subtle outline that's very loose and has some really just variegated brush strokes. It's got a very irregular border, as you can see. And I'm just laying out this nice, vibrant green to start. And I'll go ahead and do that on the other side. And then from here, I want to take some of our deeper Perylene Green, and right at the border, I'm going to start applying it. And if you notice here, where the greenery meets the water, I want to add some very loose, irregular texture. So you could see that I don't have a straight line anymore. I've got some variegation there. And then I'm just going to loosely blot some more of that deep green, just like so, and allow it to kind of bleed out. I'll go ahead and do the same thing on this other side. Okay. Now, while that kind of sets and dries, we can switch gears back to our rock formations there. And I just want to add a little bit of a blend of VanDyke Brown and some Venetian red. And this is gonna be kind of our final shading that we're gonna apply to the rock face. So I wanna just deepen it slightly deeper than the actual just straight Venetian red. So starting off on this side, I am going to loosely outline some of these rock formations, doing kind of these simple vertical brush strokes to start. And I'm just piecing a few areas to add this really loose texture. I'm gonna add a little bit towards the top as well. And again, it's very loose, but just kind of outlining certain folds of the rock. And then I'm gonna take my brush and just taking a little bit more paint, I'm gonna do some dry brush texture, but this time I'm gonna apply it horizontally instead of vertically. Okay. And this is quite a deep contrast. So to just kind of loosen up some of the harsh lines, I'm going to take a damp size 6 brush and just loosely buff out some of the harshness of these shaded crevices here, leaving some of the formation and not completely blurring it out, but just softening it just a touch. That way it's not too kind of overly outlined. We really want this to be loose and soft. Okay, now from here, I just want to move on over towards the left side, and I'm going to take the same color and just start to add some brush strokes just to help define some of this rock formation. Okay, and then using a little bit more paint and the side belly of my brush, I am going to do some more of that horizontal dry brush texture. Okay, I'm gonna just take a hint of VanDyke Brown directly and just add a little bit more depth by adding a few pops of this deep brown. And then I'm just gonna simply take my size 6 brush that's damp and just kind of buff out any harsh lines. Alrighty, and just above this mountain range, I want to take a little bit of Antwerp Blue and a touch of Perylene Green with a hint of purple. Sounds like an odd color combo, but I kind of want this kind of deep, earthy, almost gray tone. It's kind of like a nice blue, and I'm just gonna outline this kind of shadowed mountain area with that color, and then using some water on my brush, I'm simply just going to buff that line and drag it downward until it meets the cutoff of the red rock just down below. Okay, now from here, our trees have dried and set, so I just want to lay out some water here. And I want to start to do just a really loose wash of color, almost like how we did with our water. And I'm gonna first start with some Venetian red at the top. Just super loose. I'm gonna add a touch of yellow ochre just to kind of layer on top here. And I want to add a touch of that blue that we mixed, kind of that purple blue, Perylene Green combination. And I'm just going to start to add a touch of it, just to add some shadow and depth. This part of the mountains are kind of in a shadow here. And I'm going to slightly overlap it amongst the greenery. And I want to actually take a touch of purple. This purple is going to pop with all of the beautiful desert tones we have. And I'm just going to add a touch of it in a couple areas. It's going to add some interest of color. And from here, I want to actually try to shade this transition area with the orange with a little bit of VanDyke Brown. So I'm simply just going to take my size 6 brush and apply a few touches of the VanDyke Brown in kind of a loose vertical short kind of texture here. Just adding a touch of that deep brown in this transition. And doing a few pops of taller vertical lines as well. And I'll do the same thing here on the other side. And there we have it. Okay, pause here. I normally don't do this, but I just looked at my reference photo after kind of taking a step back, and I feel like this angle here is a little bit too jagged, and it's actually a bit smoother than what I painted. So I'm just gonna take some of that kind of deep blue, Perylene Green, purple combo that we mixed, and I'm just going to smooth that kind of more harsh right angle out, just like so. And then I'm just gonna kind of gently buff that out a little bit. And there we go, all good. I hope that you enjoyed this loose, watery landscape tutorial of Big Bend National Park from Texas. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any further watercolor landscape tutorials.